Hello there. We're going to look at dividing decimals. And the first example we're going to look at is 52.62 divided by 3. Now, when we see a division like this, I want you to automatically draw the bus shelter, and inside it put the first number, the number you're dividing. And outside the bus shelter you put the number you're dividing by, the divisor. Before you do any arithmetic, put a decimal point above the decimal point in the number that you're dividing, like so. Now watch what I do. 3's into 5 go once, with 2 left over, remainder of 2. 3's into 22 go 7 times. 7 3's are 21, so there's 1 left over. 3's into 16. 3 goes into 16 5 times. 3 5's are 15, so there's 1 left over. And then 3's into 12 go exactly 4 times. So our answer is 17.54. Now, if you wanted to check, the reverse of dividing is multiplying. So I'm just going to show you this. We're just going to quickly multiply 1754 by 3, and then we're going to put the decimal point in the right place. 3 times 4 is 12, put 2 there, carry the 1. 3 times 5 is 15, add 1, 16, put 6 there, carry the 1. 3 times 7 is 21, add 1, 22. 2 there, carry the 2. 3 times 1 is 3, add 2 is 5. We were multiplying 3 times 17.54, so there's 2 figures after the decimal point in the question, so my answer needs 2 figures after the decimal point. So 3 times 17.54 is 52.62, the number we were dividing. So our check worked, and we did the division correctly. Now, let's look at another division involving decimals. 42.5 divided by 5. So we draw our bus shelter. 42.5 in there, put the 5 outside, and before we do any arithmetic, put the 5 above. 5's into 4. Now 5's bigger than 4, so it won't go in. 5 won't go into 4. 5's to 0, so the remainder is 4. 5's into 42 go 8 times. 8 5's are 40, so there's 2 left over. And 8's into 25 go 5 times, so the answer is 8.5. And, which I won't do, but if I was to multiply those two together, you would get 42.5. Let's look at a third example. Question 3. 17.6 divided by 5. Let's go through 5 again. So we draw our bus shelter, put 17.6 inside, put 5 outside, and before we do any arithmetic, decimal point here. 5's into 1. 5's bigger than 1, so it goes 0 times, it won't fit in. 0 times 5 is 0, so there's 1 left over. 5's into 17, go 3 times. 3 5's are 15, so there's 2 left over. 5's into 26, go 5 times. And we still have 1 left over. What happens here? Well, when you've got a remainder, then we add some additional figures after the decimal point, and we can always add zeros, and as many of those as we like. Now we do 5's into 10. 5's into 10 go 2. So the answer is 3.52. Notice that the 0 at the beginning of the string of whole numbers I ignore when I write out my answer. Now, question 4. 6.2 divided by 0.4. Now here we have a bigger problem. We don't divide by decimals. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that into a whole number by making it 10 times bigger. But it won't be the same question. Dividing by 0.4 is not the same as dividing by 4. So how do I keep it the same question? Well, if I do the same to the left-hand side as I do to the right, as with fractions, we keep it the same. So 6.2 divided by 0.4 is the same as 62 divided by 4. And then we do our long division. Let's put 62 in here. Outside it we put the 4. 4s into 6 go once, remainder 2. 4s into 22 go 5 times, remainder 2. Now what happens here? Well, we put the decimal point in that was at the end of that number and put it directly above in the answer row as well. Now, what about this remainder hanging here? Well, as we saw with our earlier example, I can add zeros when I wish. So 4s into 20 go 5 times. So the answer is 15.5. Right, so just to recap, two things here. We can never we never divide by a decimal, and if we need to, when we're dividing a whole number, we can add a decimal point at the end because it's hidden there. We don't bother about it. And remember, as we saw in example 3, we can add zeros when we want. Now, question 5. 6.17 divided by 0.02. Now, we don't divide by decimals, so I'm going to make this into a whole number. And I'm going to make it into 2 by multiplying it by 100. But I have to do the same to the other side so that my answer will be the same. So that times 100 is 617. So, draw my bus shelter, 617, 2 outside. 2s into 6 go 3, no remainder. 2s into 1 go 0, 2's bigger so it won't go in, and the remainder is 1. 2s into 17 go 8 times, remainder 1. And here, as with the previous example, I have to put the decimal points in and add a 0 to make that 1, that remainder of 1, now 1, 0 or 10. 2s into 10 go 5 times. So the answer is 308.5. Right, here's what I want you to do. Oops, let's just go back a bit. I want you to copy down just 4 examples, and I want you to do the division of these. Right, so you've copied them down. Have a go at those. Probably take you 3-4 minutes or so, depending on your how good you are with your times table. Anyway, press it on pause, then come back and we'll go through the answers. Okay, let's go through these then. Question 6. So we write 21.6 and the 3 outside and put the decimal point above. 3's into 2 go 0, remainder 2. 3's into 21 goes 7, no remainder. 3's into 6 go 2. So the answer is 7.2 or 7.2. If you've got that, well done, give yourself a tick. Now, just tidy this up a bit as we go and look at question 7. Right, so we draw our bus shelter. Inside it goes 18.5. Put the decimal point above the decimal point in the number you're dividing, and outside it put 4. 4's into 1 go 0, remainder 1. 4's into 18 go 4 times, remainder 2. 4's into 25 go 6 times, remainder 1. What do we do here? Well, if you remember, we add a 0. 4's into 10 go 2 times. Ooh, there's still another remainder. What happens here? Well, we add yet another 0. 4's into 20 go 5 times. So the answer is 4.625. Notice how I ignored, when it came to the final answer, that 0 in front of the whole numbers. Excuse me. Now, let's go through the last two. 7.4 divided by 0.4. We don't like to divide by a decimal, so I'm going to turn that into a whole number by making it 10 times bigger, and so that the answer I get will be the same. If I do the same to the left hand side, multiply that by 10, 7.4 divided by 0.4 is the same as 74 divided by 4. Now, do my long division. So 74 inside the bus shelter, 4 outside. 4's into 7 go once, remainder 3. 4's into 34 go 8, remainder 2. We've got a remainder again. What happens here? Well, that 4 was in the units column, so immediately to the right is that hidden a decimal point that we rarely bother about when we have whole numbers. So I'll put that in. Directly above, I'm going to put another decimal point, and I've got a hanging remainder here, so I can add a 0, remember. 4's into 20, go 5. So the answer is 18.5. And now our last one. 2.018 divided by 0.05. Can't divide by decimals, so I'm going to make that 100 times bigger. That turns it into a whole number. It turns in at 5. And I have to do the same to the other side. Now what's that times 100? Well, if you remember from our earlier videos, just move the decimal point 2 places. So 2.018 times 100 is 201.8. So this calculation will get the same as the top one, get the same answer. Draw my bus shelter. Outside it, put the number I'm dividing by. And before I do any arithmetic, put the decimal point there. 5's into 2 go 0, remainder 2. 5's into 20, whoops, it should be in red, shouldn't it? I'm going to be consistent. 5's into 20 go 4. Oh, sorry. 5's into 20 go 4, no remainder. 5's into 1 go 0, remainder 1. And 5's into 18 go 3, remainder 3. What do I do here? Well, I add a 0 to link that remainder of 3 with something. 5's into 30 goes 6 times. So the answer is 40.36. Okay, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed that.